Hello nerds and nerdettes, and welcome back to the channel where once again we have a new video for you guys. We are deep into the month of December 2024, which means only one thing here on this channel, and that is that today's video is my haul of November 2024. This is the video you guys love to watch and I love to make. Now, before we get into the haul, a quick reminder that we do have a channel sponsor, which is organicpricebooks.com. You can use the discount code staynerdy for $2 off your order, or when ordering 4 or more books, you can use the code staynerdyshipittogether to save yourself 5% on that entire order. It's a great way to save yourself some money, but also a great way to help support the channel. So thank you for all of you that do decide to use that code. Now, jumping into the haul, a quick reminder as well how we do things here on the channel, which is we do start off with manga, and then we do work our way into indie/smaller publishers, and then we usually round out the haul with December DC and Marvel. The time stamps will be down below, so if you want to jump around through the video and see what you're here to see, go ahead in the description and check that out. But let's go ahead and jump into the haul, starting with, of course, manga. First up for manga, we do have Goodnight Poon Poon, Volume 3. This does have a connecting spine, which is going to look beautiful on the shelf, but this is done by the mangaka Inio Asano, who is a legendary mangaka, great character work, great heartfelt stories. One of the manga that he put out that I've read recently is Downfall, which has to deal with addiction and a manga artist. Really, really emotional stuff there. This is yet another story that is incredibly emotional, incredibly dark and human. Really great stuff here. If you want a manga to jump into that isn't Berserk or Blade of the Immortal or Hellsing, Trigun, these Dark Horse Deluxe editions that we're getting, then pick up Goodnight Poon Poon because it is really great stuff, but make sure you have the right headspace going into it because it is incredibly dark. The last couple of volumes for manga that I do have is Parasite, the full color edition, volume 7 here. And then we do have volume 8 as well, which if you guys are doing the math or maybe the spelling, because these spines do spell out Parasite on the shelf, great detail there when it comes to these editions. But if you are doing the math there, this does finish out Parasite in the full color deluxe edition that we're getting here, and it is beautiful. It is so sweet. It is a very leans more towards dated and old school manga, especially when it comes to the art style, but it is brutal. It is action packed. It is awesome. The anime adaptation is also really good, really well animated, but this full color edition where you're going to see the blood and gore, all of the details that you want to see, is a great way to pick up the series. There is standard tankobons out there. I think they also spell out Parasite on the spine, but they're not hardcovers. They are paperbacks, just standard tankobons. These are hardcovers, and they also spell out Parasite on the spine, and you get, for the first time ever, full color to the manga. So really great stuff. That is a series collected, a series finished in the library, which makes this always a good day. But sadly, that does wrap up all the manga that I got this month. So now we can go ahead and jump into the indie and smaller publishers portion of this video. Next up is Hack and Slash Back to School by Zoe Thorogood. If you've been watching this channel somewhat recently, you've probably seen my recent falling in love of Zoe Thorogood's art and stories through reading It's Lonely at the Center of the Earth. So now I want to pick up everything that has her name on it. She does do writing and art in this specific title. I don't know anything about Hack and Slash, but my brief read through tells me that there is a lot of 18 plus material. This may be a book that OmniDog has to hide from upper management if he ever picks it up. If you catch my drift there, some explicit and R-rated scenes here, but some of the paneling is very manga-esque. It feels a lot like Junji Ito, some of the panels that she illustrates here. So really ambitious stuff, a lot of fun. I think this lends beautifully to manga readers that want to start jumping into comic books, and I think Zoe Thorogood's art in general lends beautifully to that as well. This is my first hack and slash title, so I know nothing about the character or the title, but I'm really excited to get more Zoe Thorogood into the library. Next up is Seven Secrets Volume 1. This is a title that I've seen some people talk about, but the main reason that I actually picked this up is because of the artist, Daniel D. Nicuolo. Hopefully I'm not butchering that too bad. That is the artist that was recommended to me by the legendary Bunkmaster B over at Bunkmaster B Comics, the YouTube channel. I'll leave the emblem up here and probably the link to his YouTube in the description. But he said that is a artist that I should keep an eye on. He is very manga forward, feels like a manga-like artist, so I wanted to check him out. First thing that I found is he's on a title with the amazing Tom Taylor. So of course I picked this up. I love Tom Taylor's writing. I love Tom Taylor's ambition when it comes to storytelling, the love that he has for the characters that he creates or tells stories about. So Tom Taylor and an artist to check out. Count me in. Any day of the week. This is volume 1. I want to say there's like 4 volumes out, but you guys can correct me down below. Don't know a whole lot about the series, but the brief flip through that I did when picking it up is breathtaking. It is absolutely beautiful art, and I am pumped to get into it. Next up is another recommendation by another friend of the channel, which is a Fifth of Jack Gaming. He says he really loves this Thundercats title that recently started coming out in singles, and we now have a volume 1 in trade paperback. I'm sure it's going to get a deluxe edition because he's not the first person that I've heard say that this is incredible. I'm a huge Thundercats fan. I've always loved the cartoons. Lino is a badass, such a cool character, but I really think they would lend beautifully to comics. So when this title was announced and I heard it was good, this was at the top of the list of a trade paperback that I wanted to pick up after recently getting into trade paperbacks. So it's now in my possession and I plan to read it very soon and of course share my thoughts with you all. Next up, we have another Energon Universe title, which I think I've already gushed about the Energon universe when it comes to comics, but this is Scarlet. This is going to be yet another G.I. Joe related character title, very similar to that of Duke or Destro as it takes a swan dive off the desk. Really excited to get more and more of this Energon universe. I do not plan to pick up anything past volume 1, especially now that we know these deluxe editions are coming out, which the members of the community let me know. So I was already kind of knuckles deep into the Energon universe, so whoops. But Scarlet is a title that I'm excited to get in and continue reading this Energon universe and hopefully have a better idea of what exactly this is and how good it is once those deluxe editions come out and I pump out an overview for you all on the channel. Next up, we have a rare double dip on the channel, and that is Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. This is the IDW exclusive hardcover edition. I absolutely love this title. This title was so much fun, just a blast to read. I flew through it. I think I read it in one night because I was so invested. I'm also a huge fan of Dexter, and I think I've made the connection between this title and Dexter every time that I've talked about it because it really is very similar, but inject some childhood story art styles to it, and that's exactly what you get here. But I was so bummed that there was only a trade paperback out, but a member of the community did let me know that there is a IDW exclusive hardcover, so I went that route. This is deserving of a deluxe. I smell one soon coming out because this was so well received. Everyone and their mother loved this title, so I don't think that a deluxe is super far-fetched, but until that comes out, I'm happy with this standard edition hardcover that does come with some extras in the back. paperbacks, so you get a little bit more bang for your buck when it comes to what's contained in this specific edition. Next up, we have Momentic. This is written by James Tynion. He is a writer that this channel is very fond of. I don't think there's much that he's written that I have not liked, but if I'm being 100% honest, I judged this book by its cover. There is a sloth on the cover of this book. How can you not want to know what this is about when there is a trippy sloth on the cover with a just general and non-detailed name like Momentic? Man, I'm in no matter what. I love sloths. I don't care if this has nothing to do with sloths. I'm in. And from what I've heard, it does have nothing to do with sloths. So don't judge a book by its cover like I did. This does seem to be a zombie-like story, which is pretty solid because I'm a huge zombie fan. I've said that on the channel a multitude of times. So I am really excited to check this out and actually know something about this story. I reached out to a multitude of people and got very minor details, which were pretty much that it's a zombie story or a zombie-like story. So pumped to check it out. I'm going in blind, and of course, when I read it, I'm going to share my thoughts with you all, the community. Next up is Birthright Book 1. This will be finished in the next volume, which is book 2. But this is Joshua Williamson. This is a writer that was on top of the world over at DC for quite a long time, and I never checked out any of his independent or creator-owned titles, so this will be one of the titles that I am checking out. From what I've heard, it has to do with a young boy that disappears and comes back a multitude of years later, being a much older man and being transported back from a barbaric-like timeline or planet. I'm not exactly sure, but that synopsis right there has me intrigued. I want to check it out. I want to see how good it is. I've heard nothing but good things about this title. A lot of people have been championing it for a long time and super pumped that it's in a deluxe edition. So that is enough for me. And when you look at this deluxe edition, it looks like it should be some type of novel, something just super historic. So the design of the book has me intrigued and in on the purchase already anyway. So very excited to finally check this out and have my own thoughts on the story as a whole. And that was our last indie book. So here we are with DC. First up for DC, we do have Superman Lost. I don't know how this only has a trade paperback edition, especially with names like Christopher Priest on writing and Carlo Pagulian. Hopefully I'm not butchering that too bad, which I am, on art. Absolutely incredible title here. Has to do with obviously Superman, but the synopsis of the story is Superman does go on a mission that he feels like is fairly run-of-the-mill, fairly simplistic, but when he comes back, he realizes that even though it felt like a couple minutes passed for him, 20 years passed on Earth, and you get to see the fallout, the story develop from there, and it is so awesome. But one of the high points for me personally, and I know I hint on this type of stuff for books and art and storylines all the time, but we get this beautiful white on yellow Superman suit. I'm a huge fan of Superman. I'm a fan of the characters of Marvel and DC more than anything. So I love a iconic suit that just gets me hooked, gets me interested, and then jumping into the story is what gets me invested from there. So very excited to get this in the collection. It sucks it's a trade paperback. It should have at least been a hardcover, definitely a deluxe edition, but it's in the collection, it's in the library, so it will be read once again here soon. Next up, we have the standard size hardcover for Daphne Byrne. This is a DC Black Label book, but this is from Joe Hill's, yes, Joe Hill's Hill House. I forgot his first name for some reason. Joe Hill's Hill House, which is a culmination of horror stories that Joe Hill is telling. I have not read Daphne Byrne, and if I'm being 100% honest, the only reason I picked this up is because it was at a local Ollie's for like $6. You could be selling me anything for $6 when it comes to comic books, and I'm probably going to pick it up, especially if it's a hardcover, because that's pretty solid bang for your buck there. But I'm now jumping into the Hill House. I've read maybe a handful of stories, if any at all, scouring my brain thinking of it. But let me know what Hill House titles I should be checking out and which ones I should be reading next, and what editions are beautiful to pick up for the library. Next up, we do have the standard edition hardcover for Gotham City Year One, adding to the Year One catalog over at DC. So this is 2 full generations before Batman was a thing. This is exploring the Wayne family deep into the past. This is a Tom King title that I've heard is fairly hit or miss, but from what I've heard from the people that like it and dislike it, seems that my personal taste on comics would lean more towards the things that people like about this title. I've heard their social dialogue of the times that this is set in this specific story, and just a exploration of the Wayne family and how they may or may not be super great people. And we do get introduced to a newer character, which is Slam Bradley, who is the detective of this specific timeline and story. So really excited to finally check it out. I want to say I read like issue 1 of this, but I kind of just never went back to it. There's so many books coming out, it's impossible to keep up with anything these days, but this hardcover was a little bit hard to track down. I don't know if it's out of print or what, but Tom King is a writer that I am a fan of, so I'm going to at least give every title that he's on a try and see if it's something that I enjoy. Next up for DC, we do have Batman the Cult, the Deluxe Edition. This is written by Jim Starlin, and then we do have art by Bernie Wrightson, which is the main reason to pick up this specific book. Jim Starlin is obviously a legendary writer. He more exists, at least a lot of the titles that he's written, over at Marvel, telling the cosmic side of Marvel, Thanos, Infinity War, all of those characters, Adam Warlock, characters over there at Marvel that have to do with the cosmic side. But here he is on the most street level and grittiest character ever, which is Batman. The art here is incredible, though. This is the main reason that a lot of people picked up this book, me included, by Bernie Wrightson, where he really applies almost Frank Miller Dark Knight Returns style of paneling and storytelling when it comes to the art, but the design of Batman is very reminiscent of Kelly Jones, with the very large ears, where he's a little bit more horrific looking. But this is a very interesting story. I don't think it's by any means like a top 10, top 5 Batman story. It is very good, but Batman has so many incredible stories, so this is not going to appear in a lot of people's lists more than likely, unless I reread it and absolutely love it, which I will share my thoughts on for you all. And now into the DC omnibuses. First up, we do have the Green Lantern, Green Arrow, Hard Traveling Heroes omnibus. This is the DCBS exclusive cover. I have said before, I'm not a huge fan of it, but there's something about it being an exclusive that makes me kind of want to keep it. But I have done an overview on this specific omnibus. It is a highly critically acclaimed and fan favorite run on Green Lantern and Green Arrow. A lot of historical events take place during this specific run, from Green Arrow's Ward Speedy being addicted to hardcore drugs, the introduction of John Stewart for the first time in DC Comics. Really historic stuff here. Holds up well for modern readers. The first half of this omnibus is Hard Traveling Heroes, which is the better half, but you do get the Space Traveling Heroes portion as well, which if you like sci-fi, you like cosmic side of DC, then you might like that material as well. But super pumped that this omnibus has finally been made and came out. Next up, we have a very anticipated DC release. This is also my last DC book of the month, and that is Green Lantern Corps Volume 2 by Peter J. Tomasi and Patrick Gleason. I championed Volume 1. I will continue to do so. I am going to now champion Volume 2. This title is so good. I talk much more deeply about it during the overview, so you can check that out. But this is a Green Lantern read you do not want to miss out. Builds the mythos and lore of Green Lantern even more so than Jeff Johns' run. You get to meet all of the Green Lantern characters. Some of them you don't want to grow too attached to. Some of them could die. Some of them could become more powerful. You also get a major focus on John Stewart and Guy Gardner in this for those of you that are fans of that character. Incredible stuff. Highly recommend it. And I guess this was a heavy Green Lantern omnibus era for DC, or during this month, because we got 2 Green Lantern omnis, so that makes it a good month for sure. And here we are at Marvel. First up, we do have Captain America by J. Michael Straczynski, Volume 1. I did read the first issue of this run when it first came out, and I did enjoy it. I think it explores Captain America, his morals, very beautifully, and it also has a great voice for Captain America, but it does seem like it's going to be exploring some similar tropes that have to do with the character of Captain America and a hidden power, hidden past when involving the United States. But from what I've heard, this title does get injected with magic, which is a rare occurrence when it comes to the character of Captain America. So I want to start picking this up in trades, start trade waiting on some of the favorite Marvel and DC titles and reading it that way, so I can at least stay up to a little bit current of releases that are coming out. And here we are with another current ongoing title in a trade paperback format. We do have Incredible Hulk by Philip Kennedy Johnson, Volume 1. This does seem to be a love letter to that of Bruce Jones's Hulk or Al Ewing's Hulk, because this is yet another more horror-centric, horrific style of story. This is the Hulk title that is the follow-up, or the, I guess, next run in order after the Donny Cates and Ryan Ottley run that took place that explored a very different side of the Hulk. So here we are back to basics, a little bit more of a familiar tone and theme to Hulk, but it is so great. It is awesome. Philip Kennedy Johnson is an incredible writer, and Nick Klein is an incredible artist. So we have a great team here on the Hulk, and it is well deserving because the Hulk is such a beloved character, and I love to see him get a great creative team. First up for the Marvel omnibuses, we actually have a handful of very thin omnibuses, which we'll get into as the video continues, but we do have Star Wars The High Republic, Phase 2, or Volume 2, The Acolyte. This is continuing the High Republic storyline. I have read the contents of the first omnibus, so I'm excited to get into this omnibus and explore the characters that apparently are new now, because we're actually going into the past, because a lot of what this collects actually takes place before even Phase 1. Very Star Wars-esque style of storytelling there, where we're now backtracking and exploring some characters, but really pumped to get more Jedi action, lightsaber action, and lore expansion when it comes to the canon side of Star Wars over at Marvel Comics. Next up, we have another book that was recommended by a member of the community. I do take you guys' thoughts and recommendations very seriously, whether you're a friend of the channel that also creates content or not. It is very important to me to pick up books that you guys like and think that I would like. So here we are with Ghost Rider 2099, the most recent addition to the 2099 omnibuses. We now have, which should be somewhere over here to my left, yep, we do have Spider-Man 2099, 2 volumes worth of that content, and then we also have X-Men 2099. So now added into that, we have Ghost Rider 2099, and I do believe we're going to be getting Doom and Fantastic Four, or Fantastic Four Doom 2099, the omnibus also. Crazy that we've reached a point in collecting where now all these 2099 titles are being collected. Crazy to think about, but I've only really read Spider-Man 2099, the contents in the first 2 volumes, so I am really excited to expand my knowledge on that universe, those characters, the edge, and futuristic style and aesthetic that is applied to them. And so Ghost Rider 2099 and X-Men 2099 are on the read pile here shortly. And next up, we do have Punisher Max by Jason Aaron and Steve Dillon, the omnibus. This was a long-awaited reprint, and I am pumped to have it in my possession. I do know Punisher Max is usually connected more to that of Garth Ennis, and I do think Garth Ennis's run does explore the character of Frank Castle a lot more and Punisher a lot more, but in this specific run, it is just bloody, gory fun. You get to have Frank Castle, the Punisher, go toe-to-toe with the character of Kingpin, Bullseye, these characters that are literally just throwing everything at each other, and it is brutal. It is disgusting at times. It is action-packed, and it is bloody and very adult-oriented. This is not for kids. There is blood, nudity, everything that you could come to expect for a adult-centric title, because that is what Marvel Max is comic books for adults. So 18 plus when it comes to this. Really great stuff though, a blast. Jason Aaron is a great writer, and Steve Dillon, who is gone too soon, is an incredible artist. So highly recommend this, especially if you liked the Garth Ennis Punisher Max stuff. And last but not least, we do have yet another omnibus that I did a overview for, and that is Hulk by Donny Cates and Ryan Ottley, the omnibus. This was a title that I was not a huge fan of. Coming out in singles, I did not like the ambitious approach. I didn't like the sci-fi-like nature applied to the character of the Hulk. That is one of my favorite Marvel characters. But since revisiting it in omnibus format, doing and reading it and doing an overview for you guys, which I can leave up above, I've learned to really, really like this run. I didn't expect it. I didn't have it on my bingo card, but I really saw this run for what it is, which is a love letter to the runs on the Hulk that predated when it comes to Peter David's or Al Ewing's run. It also has some incredible art by Ryan Ottley that looks beautiful in the omnibus format. We saw his art over at Invincible and on Nick Spencer's Spider-Man, but here he is on the Hulk applying his brutality and action-forward art style, and it is absolutely beautiful. Looks great in this omnibus format. I highly recommend at least reading it yourself. Don't listen to the naysayers. Check it out yourself before picking up the omnibus, obviously, and then decide if this is a good purchase for you. But me personally, I loved it. I hated it at first, but I now love it. So let me know what your reading experience with it is once you get into it. And that does wrap up today's haul, everything that I picked up in the month of November 2024. I truly appreciate you guys always tuning in. Comment down below. Let me know what books you picked up, what books of mine you picked up, what comic book taste we share. I love to have those conversations really about anything, especially comic books. So comment down below. I would love to hear from you guys. Also, if you're watching this, if you could hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and also hit that thumbs up icon. All three of those mean a lot to us here on the channel and help out immensely when it comes to the algorithm. But thank you for watching once again. I appreciate each and every one of you guys, and of course, stay nerdy.